second half of 1998, construction began on the first stage of the current school facility in Ashfield Road, and this, in the beginning of 1999, the school moved out to Ashfield Road into its own premises.
After they turned the first sod of soil and we had the ceremony to turn the sod, I took the preschool students out there and we put tents up and camped on the land. That was part of our program, but the other reason that we took them out there was to pray for the school. And as the families and the students and I walked all over the land that was going to have buildings on it, we prayed for those buildings, we prayed for the students that would come, and we prayed for our school as it grew. Those first 9 students as preschoolers had a very keen understanding of who God was and the power that He had when we prayed. And they walked all over that land, and it was great to see those students come through and for them to realise that God did work and this is how He worked.
I think the memories that I hold most dear with the school is actually over the years just watching it grow and develop. And it started as a very small commune of people and just slowly kept growing and growing. Then as that developed, then you started seeing new families and everything started to expand. Bigger school camps and bigger classrooms. And seeing the school open up on the new property where it is on Ashfield Road, it was just such a defining moment, being able to be there to turn the sod at that starting point and then see it be built and grow to what it is now. I've been proud to really be a part of that.
The building started in 1998, midway through 1998 they started the construction, and that was the admin building, was the 3 classrooms looking at the facility down the right hand side, the tuck shop and the toilet block facility, and also there was a big Caliban shed that was put in there for the technology and arts building, and also a second-hand uniform shop.
The first section was built by another builder, and then from after Brent witnessing and watching construction site of building a school, he learned a lot, and he continued to apply when the next stages were being asked to have their plans submitted, and Brent would submit his quote, and after watching stage 1 being built, he felt that it was quite he was quite able to do the next stage, and so he put in his application to build the next stage when he won that application, and from then on he continued to apply for each stage, and he has built every stage since. Originally Brent only built dwelling constructions, but from watching that first stage, he was confident that he would be able to do commercial construction, and so that was his first challenge, to build commercial construction. He always believed that that's what God had put him there to do, was build the buildings of the Bundaberg Christian College, and he was disappointed when he didn't win the first stage, but it was in God's hands because he was shown how to do it, and from then on it always just came through that Brent got every stage to build. So he stands back in awe and just looks at that. We both do, especially when we look at the assembly hall. He'd never ever built anything like that, and to be able to build a sports facility come music facility, to get acoustics in a sports stadium, is out of everybody's control. It's God's hand that did that, so that we've got a magnificent facility out there that is for both sport and music. That's amazing.
There's one thing I can think of in the early days when we first approached the architects to do the design for the school. They come with plans, and there was a lot of exposed timber work and different things hanging off buildings here and there. And I remember saying to the board then that we need to have clean lines. We don't want to have a situation where we're going to have to come back and do lots of maintenance over the years, painting this, and that's why we probably decided on the hip structure of the roofs at the college. Yeah, that was quite significant, I believe. I think it's saved us a lot of headaches down the track, definitely.
I first came out here, I was involved in bricking of some of the buildings. That was around 1999 into 2000. We were working out here, and I've known Brent for a long time. Brent Coyne was one of the founders, so he used to talk about the school and that. So yeah.
We were part of the planning for the new buildings. My husband was a plumber and worked with Brent at the time too, so he did the plumbing down here at some stage. So I can remember on September 11th, the day the Twin Towers were hit, we were down picking up stones down the oval to just pick them up off the oval when we moved out here, and a plane happened to go over and it's like everyone ducked.
In the early days, I can remember doing things like, I remember Andrew would be with the two young boys pulling rocks off the oval, trying to get it flat, no rocks. I know that we were also involved with cleaning at that time. Parents would just come in and help with cleaning rooms and things. Just go in any time because it was very small and close knit. You felt you could come and go quite easily, sit in, do things with the teachers, be involved with whatever needed to be involved with.
Yeah, the other fond memories was the amount of parent volunteers that come forward. Like I remember out the new facility at Ashfield Road where we did the emu parade, the rock picking parade over the overs. You'd go around and you'd pick up rocks and put them in piles, and we'd drive around in the utes and pick them up, and then the planting of the grass, and it was just a lot of hard work but a lot of good fun.
While I was there, we moved out to where the present premises is, and we had 170 students in that year, so it was a big jump. It was exciting just to be involved in that process. Buying furniture, I remember ordering furniture, ordering all the science lab equipment.
The college moved over to the new location, I think when Hayley was in grade 4, and obviously we didn't have as many buildings. The office area was also the library, and I think a science lab or something like that where all the staff are now, so a lot's changed with the number of buildings, and we had the tuck shop. I think that's probably, tuck shop, the main building, and a couple of classrooms. Lots of changes occurred when we were there on a regular basis, and that I think is the number of staff, the change in office facilities, because we really didn't have an office staff really at the original school, and then just the number of buildings and the space that was available for the children, from one little play area that was probably a couple of 100 metres square to the expanse area that they have now. And the fact that the school now encompasses prep to 12 means that a lot's happened. Gardens, recycled water, solar panels, so a lot's happened.
Once actually got buildings built and we actually started that year, Ashfield Road where it is now, that was probably a defining moment. You thought, right, yeah, now it's going to happen.
It's a real school.
Yeah, it's a real school now. We've got our own school grounds. So, and seeing how it developed that way, and then in stages 2 and then stage 3, and then people's perception in the community changed towards it. It wasn't just a little Christian school. Now it's got 600 plus students, Yeah, it's, you know,
It's a quality school
it's a
now.
quality school, does well academically now, so that's pleasing. So you're starting to get people thinking, well, this is an alternative to state or other private schools.
Mm.
They're doing well in the academic area, so that's really good.
There was a lot of work to establish out there. Because the land wasn't serviced, so the school had to put in a packaged sewage system. It had to develop a water supply system, which basically relied on rainwater off the roofs. There was various roadworks external to the school to do. I know the Department of Main Roads required them to do some work on Elliott Heads Road, and I'm not sure if even some work was done on the intersection with the Bundaberg Port Road. And then there was all the internal stuff, the buildings and the car parks and all that had to be built. So there was a lot of work there at the start to get the school on that site. The thing I can remember is how hot the classrooms were out at Ashfield Road because they weren't air conditioned and it was hot.
Yeah, it was a very exciting time of the college but I do remember the first sod turning. I think that would have been in my first year there where it was the mayor, I think it was Nita Cunningham, came out and turned the sod, and then the construction began. Very exciting watching the building happening, and we did have a grand opening. We had a big day and a sort of party night where we had dinner and things like that. So it was all very exciting. The first use of our new premises was really good, and of course I had a nice new office there. All very exciting.
Well, there was one other thing is the actual opening of the school. I mean, there was a lot of people. The Lord Mayor was here at the time, and breaking the first ground for the school, and down here after the main opening of the school. And yeah, I still remember it. It was just a lot of people that sort of created a lot of interest.
Growth in the school since my joining the team in 2004 has been quite large. During my first few years as enrolments officer, we grew by 100 students a year for a few years running. So it was a hectic schedule, but an exciting one to see God bringing in so many new families to the college.
When I started, the only buildings we had were admin and the primary block from P4 to P7 had just been built. So since then, the double-storey library wasn't there, the double-storey secondary rooms and E-block, no home ed, no covered sports areas, no hall. The woodwork was actually where the library is currently situated, and that was relocated at one stage. We've extended the oval, we've top dressed and built up the oval. Building wise, one of the great things was Kevin Rudd's building education revolution, where we were handed basically a bit over $1 million, which we didn't have to pay back, and that's where we were able to build our Great Hall facility we have now, and also we're able to build our Early Learning Centre. Without Kevin Rudd's great money, we probably still wouldn't have a hall, because that was probably 15 years down the track at that stage in our master plan.
From the time I joined the team, we had building projects on the go for probably 4 or 5 years running, seeing us have success with BGA grants and our multi-purpose facility going up. That was hugely exciting, and then to have that stimulus package that enabled us to close in the hall, which is such a hub not only of school activity but community activity. So that's a really big deal for BCC to have people come on our school grounds and see what we have to offer.
I remember the facilities, how they've changed over time. Staff rooms and such, now computer rooms, and that. The library was over in the administration building. But I do remember particularly where we are here in the library was the woodworking shed, which is now on the other side of the campus, was actually located here in the center of the campus. And it had very poor air conditioning and ventilation. And I do remember some of the most disagreeable possible classes that I had were in this shed, extremely hot, fans going, not very effective, trying to get a lesson working. It was a drama class that I was teaching at that time, was very challenging. So the growth has been extremely pleasing with the air conditioning, the first-rate facilities, the library here, to have watched them all go up, and all because of the vision of the original founders and board members and the work with the buildings themselves, the Coyneys and others involved. To see that has been very gratifying, and to play a part, whatever small part in it, has also been very pleasing.
In the early days, I couldn't wait till there was 1 year the same as the last. Like basically, the student numbers are much the same, and teacher numbers are much the same, and we weren't building, so I could see what 1 year was going to be like to the next. It was always changing every year, especially in 1 year we had over 100 new students start, so that in the early days when your numbers are long, it totally changed the culture of the school as well in one hit, so we've got to counteract that as well.
Lots of buildings have gone up since I've started. We have a junior primary area now. That was never there. That was just all, we couldn't even play there. It was fenced off.
What changes have I seen? The most obvious, I think, is that hall. That began as just posts with a roof over the top, and within about 2 years it was built in. That was probably one of the biggest changes. The other huge change is the drop-off zone down the bottom here, where there used to be just dirt and mud and rocks and grass, and it took us a fair while to get that in, but now it's just absolutely beautiful. It's, and the bus drop-off area down here.
There is another area in the school, and that's our PNF. They certainly play a major role in just adding those little touches, you know, the little special things, and so they do a great job in raising funds and providing playground facilities and books and air cons and to different areas, and they've done a lot over the years too, so we're grateful for that too.
One of the pictures on the school website has a young boy and a senior sitting on benches, and those benches came from the selling of our school uniform shop back in 2003. I just saw that that would be longevity, so it's nice to see 12 years later that they're still being used by the current students.
Some of my fondest memories are when I would stand on the veranda at our buildings in Wingara Street, and I would look out and see if mothers were dropping off their children to come to the school, and some of them were pulling up out the front to bring their children into the school, and it was very, very exciting to see new students coming. And when we moved out to Ashfield roadside, I would love standing at the front watching the buses bring the students to school. The excitement of the kids' faces as they came off the bus. And we were told, parents would tell us, that it was the first time that their children were excited to get up in the mornings and come to school. They were excited to come to the Christian college, and to hear that was just wonderful. And I still stand in awe and watch the students arriving on the buses. It's something that I don't think every parent understands, how amazing that is, from right at the beginning, knowing that you were going to be an instrument in what God had a plan for a Christian school in Bundaberg, and just to see those children excited about being at school. That is really heartwarming.
I actually remember the medieval days that we used to have here too. Our photos still up there when we all dressed up, and yeah, we had so much fun at those sort of things, and the kids got right into it. And yeah, it was, my son-in-law built a trebuchet to have down the back, a massive big trebuchet to have down the back, and the principal actually came riding in on a horse.
The mission trips that we began at Bundaberg Christian College were amazing. The school had a connection with teen missions, and I believe to this day that continues. And that was a springboard into short-term mission work. And I had an interest in Uganda and supporting the work of many ministries in Uganda. And so it was a privilege to be able to take a team over to Champisi and to Kampala and to work with the local Christians, Watoto Christians, Champisi Christians, and support the greater work of the gospel in Uganda.
Mitchell and I went to Uganda when he was in year 11. A mission trip with Toto, with Mark Bensley. That was really good, yeah. Great.
With the mission trip that we took to Uganda, one of the exciting opportunities was to see the individual students and the parents who joined us, to see them their minds open to the possibility of missions, and to see them to come on board the team, a little reluctant at first, but to work with the local people and to experience the openness and the spontaneity of the faith of the local people, and how that impacted them and how it changed them. They then come back to Bundaberg, back to Queensland, and share their experiences, which of course then shares with other people and it blesses them in their experience. I think of one quote that came back to me, and this student had said to me that, you know, we've got so much stuff in Australia. And then I said, that's correct. And she said, look, they've got nothing. And I said, well, they've got a lot, she said, no, well, nothing compared to us. But they're happier than we are. And I said, well, yeah, that's a valid comment. And then she said to me, the irony, Mr. Bensley, is that they don't know what they're missing, but what they're missing isn't worth having. And that just showed me that the experience of being on a team and living with the local people and seeing what they do with what they've got and the abundance with which we have. And it really changed her perspective, and it gave her a real stability in her life and an anchor in her life. And I think now she compares many things with that experience. And it was a great experience for her, and it was a great experience for the team who were with her.
In 2009, I think the sporting success sort of hit a really high note when we had Alistair Hill, who was the captain of the Australian schoolboys volleyball teams, and Zach Coyne was captain of the Queensland schoolboys cricket.
At the college, I was able to spend more time on my sporting endeavours. They actually allowed me to drop a subject towards my senior years in order for me to cater for my sporting commitments. Plus, I was able to get extra time to complete my 5 subjects. I remember a lot of teaching from Vicky Whittle in particular. She helped me at the beginning and towards the end of my schooling years. For me, first few years out of school, I was able to go on a few cricket tours. I was able to live in England for a few months there, playing cricket there, and also toured India as well. That was a great opportunity for me. Since I've come back, I've moved straight to Brisbane. I continue to play the first grade level here, and the possibility of playing at a professional level is still there for me. It's been really good. I remember sort of beginning to get a real passion for health and fitness when I started doing work with Darren Lawrence at the school. He sort of taught me the great value in training and training towards an event as well. I know he'd probably been my biggest influence when it comes to school.
I guess I had a lot of opportunities throughout school, and I guess made the most of it at the time, and I'm glad I did. The facilities, the group around us, the teachers, all that sort of thing made it possible to achieve what I did. And although the Christian College at that time wasn't renowned for their sporting ability and facilities, I guess I was still able to achieve well in that area, and that's something I'm very thankful for, for sure.
One of the beautiful opportunities that we explored in my time as principal of Bundaberg Christian College was to redefine and to reimagine, if you like, Christian education, and to look at the connection between a Christian school and the faith of the Christian school and the school nature of a school, and so the academic rigor. And so being a school that is unashamedly Christian and unashamedly focused on developing godly young men and young women and faithfully handling the scriptures, but also a school that is rigorous, research-based, evidence-driven with the quality teaching and learning, because we want our students to be at the top of their game. We want them to be the next leaders of the community. And so they need to have both the academic rigour as well as the faithfulness and the pastoral care of a Christian school. And those two things coming together, that was a wonderful journey, which I believe the school is still on, but it was a great place to start.
Having a Christian education is the most important thing in your whole life. It will set you up for life and to face life, because without God's help, you're not going to succeed in the way that you can. He can give you a much fuller life, get you through the bad times and the good times, and He has a plan. He has a plan for your life.
Well, as we reach the 20th anniversary, there's some special events planned for this year, and some special beginnings, I guess. The launch of our new college uniform is very exciting, and a fresh look to BCC, a modern look, which I think is essential after 20 years, and so we're looking forward to that. This year we also will have our first BCC festival, an event that brings families to the college to just celebrate community, to celebrate life together, to celebrate the school, and it will be great fun, I'm sure, for the families at the college, and a great celebration of our 20th year. We have some other key events happening throughout the year, but the other element that is key for us this year is to continue to take opportunities to place within our school both symbols and other events that continually remind us of who we are, why we're here, and what we're on about. And that'll be also fundamental to the things that occur throughout our 20th year.
As a college, we are very self-sufficient. We have our own water supply, which is the rainwater collected off our roofs. We have our own sewage treatment plant, which is all recycled on the site itself, and all of our wastewater through all our wash basins, drinking troughs, everything goes into that big tank down the back, which is used also for our temporary firefighting facility if a fire breaks out. But everything is recycled, and all that water then is used for spraying on the oval and on the grounds and the gardens around the college site. But this year, beginning of 2016, we are now getting solar panels installed at the college. So we think it's a very positive move for the future, and we see it saving us a considerable amount of money in the next 5 to 10 years. So as a college, we stand alone. We're fully self-sufficient, which is fantastic.
Well, for the 20th anniversary, we've done quite a few things. For last year, we started with sprucing up the front of the college by redoing the gardens and new fencing and new big advertising screen. Then this year we've had the introduction of the new student uniform, and a game changer for me financially is the fit out of the new solar system we're putting on, where we've got 732 solar panels that'll produce about 192 kilowatts of power, as well as 144 batteries that'll store power for night usage. So this has the potential to save us hundreds of $1,000s over the coming years. Solar will be all systems go on Friday the 4th of March, so from then on we should see how well it performs. It will supply about 80% of our power at this stage.
It's almost as though the 20th anniversary has come and you can just see God's blessing financially, and the things that are happening in the college just seem to be all of a sudden just things are just starting to happen.
As a board member, I can see a lot of potential in future years for the Christian College. There's opportunities for our college, and with the leadership team that we've got in there, we're really starting to see changes happening. I think that we'll continue to see growth at the college. We'll see academic achievement, and I think it's going to have a name for itself Queensland-wide. I think you'll see Bundaberg Christian College really will be valued in its own right.
In the 20th year, I think the challenge for us is to continue to hold on to the things like our mission, like our heart, like our vision and direction that were established in the early days, whilst balancing that with continuing to be innovative, continuing to ensure that we provide an education that's relevant and appropriate for students in the 21st century, acknowledging that they'll enter a workforce that is largely unknown. And so it's that blending of holding on to the traditions, the rituals, the symbols that are so important to us here at BCC, whilst also allowing for fresh and new and innovative ideas. And so we're on a journey at BCC towards greater innovation, towards greater creativity, greater diversity, where we are able to appreciate and acknowledge the gifts of each child and provide programs that enable them to flourish in those areas and truly be equipped to be transformational when they leave the college.